What if I told you some luxury brands cost less than $40 to make, then sell for over $1,000? Meanwhile, smaller companies are using better materials, better craftsmanship, and charging half the price. Today, we are breaking down 5 brands that are pure hype, and 5 actually worth buying. The 5 overpriced brands to avoid. Number 5. Lacoste. Lacoste opens the overpriced list as the brand that has been quietly trading on a tennis legend who retired from the sport nearly 100 years ago. The iconic L1212 polo retails between $110 and $135 in a petit piqué cotton knit weighing 220 grams per square meter. That fabric specification puts the polo squarely in the mid-market category by any technical measure. The same weight knit at Uniqlo retails for around $40. The landed cost per polo at Lacoste works out to roughly $9 to $12, which means the markup at full retail runs close to 10 times. The brand is owned by the Maus Frères Group of Switzerland, which manages production across factories in Peru, Morocco, and India. Footwear, eyewear, and fragrance revenue all sit under separate licensing contracts that funnel royalties back to the trademark holder rather than into garment development. There is no in-house textile research, no factory ownership, and no premium fiber sourcing program driving the price. The crack embroidery is still hand-stitched onto the chest in most cases, and the color library is broader than almost any competitor. But neither of those details justifies a polo costing 4 times what its fabric specification suggests. The buyer is paying for a reptile and a tennis legend named René Lacoste, who designed the original shirt in 1933. The crack earns more than the cutter ever will. The next entry is the brand that has built an empire on the idea of German tailoring without delivering any of it. Number 4. Hugo Boss. Hugo Boss trades on the marketing image of German precision tailoring, but most of the product on the floor is built to a very different standard. A standard Hugo Boss business shirt retails for $128 to $158, while the shell fabric is a 2-ply cotton blend produced under contract in Turkey, Bulgaria, and Vietnam at a cost of roughly $4 to $6 per meter. Add the collar fusing, the labor, and the shipping, and the landed cost per shirt sits between $14 and $18. The markup is absorbed by department store margins, seasonal marketing, and the licensing arms that carry the Boss name onto fragrances, eyewear, and watches. The group's annual report for 2024 shows marketing spending above €300 million, and that cost is baked directly into every retail price tag. What the buyer actually receives is a machine-finished shirt with fused interlinings, a detail that gives the collar a crisp look for the first dozen washes before it begins to bubble at the edges and never recovers. None of the shirts at this price point use a floating canvas, a mother-of-pearl button, or a single needle side seam. The cut is decent. The fabric is acceptable. But every construction detail that would justify the German tailoring claim has been quietly removed in favor of cost efficiency. You are paying for German cachet, not German construction. The name carries the price, and the cloth has nothing to do with it. The third entry is the activewear brand whose name on the waistband is doing more work than the fabric ever will. Number 3. Lululemon. Lululemon takes the third spot as the brand that built a $40 billion market capitalization on the idea that a pair of leggings is worth $128. The company was founded in 1998 in Vancouver by Chip Wilson, and has built a loyal following on the marketing of proprietary fabrics like Luan, Nulu, and Everlux. The reality of those fabrics is less impressive than the names suggest. Luan is a nylon and elastane blend manufactured under contract in factories across Vietnam, Sri Lanka, and Cambodia. The actual production cost per pair of leggings, according to multiple supply chain analyses, sits between $3 and $8. That is not a typo. A pair of leggings that retails at $128 costs the company under $10 to make at scale. The remaining $120 is absorbed by retail rent, marketing, the in-store yoga events that build community loyalty, and the brand's gross margin, which has consistently sat above 58%. The men's product line, including the ABC pants and the metal vent tech tee, runs the same equation. The fabric is a synthetic blend that performs reasonably well in athletic settings. The fabric is not 1000% better than what you find at Athleta, Decathlon, or Costco's Kirkland line. The math simply does not support the price. The buyer is paying for the label on the waistband and the lifestyle community attached to it. The leggings are decent. The markup is not. The second entry is the brand that has built its entire identity on selling printed cotton at the price of cashmere. Number 2. Supreme. Supreme takes the second spot as the brand that perfected the art of selling artificial scarcity at luxury pricing. Founded in 1994 by James Jebbia as a single skate shop on Lafayette Street in New York, Supreme has spent 3 decades training a generation of buyers to pay $148 for a screen-printed cotton hoodie. The construction reality is straightforward. A standard Supreme box logo hoodie is a midweight cotton fleece pullover, manufactured in Canada at facilities that also produce blanks for dozens of streetwear brands at a cost of roughly $15 to $20 per unit. The screen print on the front adds about $3 in production cost. The retail price runs between $148 and $178. The collaborations push this further into territory that defies analysis. The Supreme and Stone Island reversible down puffer retails at $998. The Supreme and Stone Island leather bomber sits at $2,598. These prices have nothing to do with materials or construction and everything to do with the artificial drop scarcity the brand engineered into its release model. Limited quantities. Thursday morning drops. Lines around the block. The deeper issue is the resale crash. The hype premium that allowed Supreme pieces to resell for 10 times retail in 2017 has now collapsed. Pieces that retailed at $148 now sit on resale platforms at $30 to $50 and sometimes go unsold. The buyer who paid full retail in 2023 is holding an asset that has lost most of its value in 18 months. The top of the bad list is the luxury house that became a case study in what happens when a brand stops competing on substance entirely. Number 1. Gucci. Gucci takes the worst offender position because the brand has, over the past decade, become the textbook example of luxury pricing without luxury construction. A Gucci suit retails between $2,200 and $3,500. The construction across most of the men's tailoring line is fully fused, meaning no canvas chest piece, no floating front, and no internal structure that would justify the price. To put that in context, a fully fused suit at the Gucci price point is mechanically identical to a suit supply Lazio at $500 or Aspire and Mackay Red Label at $348, both of which use half canvas construction at a fraction of the price. The Gucci suit costs more and is built to a lower standard. The footwear line tells the same story. Gucci sneakers retail between $690 and $1,200. The uppers are canvas with a polyurethane coating, the soles are rubber injected into a mold, and the lining is synthetic. The construction is what an Adidas Stan Smith does at $100. The only premium element is the printed Gucci logo across the surface, repeated for one reason: to be recognized at distance. The brand is owned by Kering, the French luxury group, and Gucci's recurring operating margin sat at 21% on its core fashion division in 2024. That margin is not funded by hand stitching. It is funded by the willingness of the buyer to pay anything the brand asks because the logo is recognizable. Gucci is the loudest argument that price has decoupled from product. Avoid accordingly. That closes the bad list. Now the 5 brands that actually earn the money you hand them, ranked from the entry point at 5 up to the single most respected name at 1. The 5 brands that are actually worth it. Number 5. Adidas. Adidas opens the respected list with a brand that quietly built the most enduring sneaker silhouette in modern menswear and has never raised the price to match its cultural weight. The Stan Smith retails at $100 in full grain leather with a perforated 3-stripe pattern on the side, a flat rubber outsole, and a leather upper sourced from European tanneries. The shoe was originally designed in 1963 as a tennis trainer with a leather upper, named after French player Robert Haylett in 1965, then signed over to American tennis champion Stan Smith in 1973 after Haylett retired. The shoe was officially renamed the Stan Smith in 1978. Tens of millions of pairs have been sold since launch, making it one of the best-selling shoes in history. The construction is genuinely simple, which is the point. A leather upper, a leather lining on the heritage version, a flat rubber sole, a small printed logo on the heel tab. There is no air bubble, no foam wedge, no contrasting overlay. The shoe pairs cleanly with denim, chinos, or a tailored trouser break. At $100, the Stan Smith is the answer to the entire logo print designer sneaker category. It signals taste through restraint rather than recognition, holds its appearance for years, and has been worn by everyone from Phil Knight to David Beckham to Pharrell Williams. The shoe is the textbook case for spending modestly on something the world has already agreed is correct. The fourth entry is the boot that has been quietly outfitting men in the same factory in England for 65 years. Number 4. Dr. Martens. Dr. Martens takes the fourth spot with the most recognizable boot silhouette in modern menswear. The 1460 launched on April 1, 1960, and the 8-eyelet design has been continuously produced since. The standard 1460 retails at $180 in smooth leather with Goodyear welt construction and the brand's signature yellow stitching around the welt. The construction is genuinely durable. The Goodyear welt is heat-sealed at 700 degrees Celsius and reinforced with the visible yellow stitch, which means the sole can technically be replaced rather than discarded. The airwear sole is oil and fat resistant. The leather upper, on the standard Asian-made line, is corrected grain calf that ages into a worn patina over years of wear. For buyers who want the upgrade, the Made in England line retails between $260 and $280 and is handcrafted at the Cobbs Lane factory in Wollaston, Northamptonshire, the same building Dr. Martens has used since 1960. Premium Made in England versions use heavyweight wax Commander leather from C. Beth Stead, a British tannery operating since 1904. The 1460 has been worn by the original British punk movement, by every ska band of the 1970s, by the Britpop generation, and now sits in the wardrobes of architects, designers, and bartenders across every major city. Dr. Martens has resisted the temptation to chase luxury pricing for more than half a century. The brand has stayed exactly where the boot was designed to sit. On the feet of working men who valued construction over branding. The third entry is the Japanese retailer that has spent 20 years quietly proving that boring, on its own, is a luxury. Number 3. Uniqlo. Uniqlo holds the third position as the world's most successful argument that good materials at honest prices can build a $60 billion empire without ever raising its voice. The brand was founded in Yamaguchi, Japan, in 1949 and rebranded under the Uniqlo name in 1984 under founder Tadashi Yanai. The Supima cotton tee retails between $20 and $30 and uses American-grown long staple cotton, the same fiber category that high-end labels like Sunspell and James Perse charge $90 for. The 100% extra fine merino crewneck sells for around $50 and uses Australian merino top that several Italian knitwear brands print onto a $300 sweater. The brand's collaborations with Jill Sander, Christophe Lemaire, and J.W. Anderson lifted the design ceiling without raising the floor. The Lemecut linen shirt at $50 looks indistinguishable from a Margaret Howell at $300. Parent Group Fast Retailing reports operating margins above 16%, which is the financial signature of a company making real money on real materials rather than on marketing. There is a running joke in menswear circles that you can spot the men who actually understand clothes because they wear Uniqlo to dinner with people who do not. The label inside is a tell only for the wearer. Everyone else just sees clean lines and good fabric. Quiet competence reads as quiet luxury, and Uniqlo has built an empire on that single principle. The second entry is the American brand that has been making the same workwear for over 135 years and never needed to update the formula. Number 2. Carhartt. Carhartt takes the second position as the brand that built itself on outfitting railroad workers in 1889 and has spent the next century and a third refusing to compromise the construction. The company was founded by Hamilton Carhartt in Detroit, Michigan, with 2 sewing machines and 5 employees, originally producing bib overalls for railroad engineers, and has remained family-owned across 4 generations. The Detroit jacket, the chore coat, and the active jacket retail between $100 and $175 depending on configuration. The fabric is 12-ounce cotton duck canvas, treated with the brand's proprietary water-repellent finish and built to a weight that genuinely outlasts most consumer outerwear by decades. The cultural shift around Carhartt has been remarkable. A brand that spent a century being worn exclusively by tradesmen, farmers, and dock workers has, in the past 15 years, become the default outerwear of architects in Brooklyn, designers in Berlin, and creative directors in Los Angeles. The double-knee work pant has appeared on Kanye West, Kendall Jenner, and on the runway at Junior Watanabe and Sacai. None of that adoption changed the price or the construction. A Carhartt Detroit jacket bought in 2025 is mechanically the same jacket sold to construction workers in 1995, and is sold at roughly the same inflation-adjusted price. The brand has resisted the temptation to monetize its newfound fashion credibility, and that resistance is exactly why the credibility has held. Carhartt is the genuine working garment that earned its place by refusing to pretend to be anything else. The top of the respected list is the most American garment ever made, designed in 1873 and worn by every generation since. Number 1. Levi's. Levi's takes the top spot because the 501 is the single most enduring piece of clothing in modern menswear, has been in continuous production since 1873, and remains genuinely affordable at a price that has barely moved in real terms across a century and a half. The standard 501 original fit retails between $69 and $98 in 14.5-ounce cotton denim. The construction includes copper rivets at the stress points, originally patented by Jacob Davis and Levi Strauss in 1873 to reinforce the corners of pockets on miners' workwear. The button fly, the back yoke, the leather patch above the right pocket. Every detail is older than electricity. The denim sourcing has shifted across the past decade. The Cone Mills White Oak plant in North Carolina, which supplied Levi's since 1915 on a handshake agreement, closed in 2017. Standard 501 production is now split across mills in Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Turkey, and Japan. For buyers who want the original construction, the Levi's vintage clothing line sells reproduction 501s using premium Japanese selvage denim at $195 to $245. The 501 has been worn by James Dean, Marlon Brando, Steve McQueen, and Bruce Springsteen. There is no garment that has earned its place in the male wardrobe more thoroughly. Spend the $70, and I promise, the 501 will outlive the trends. So, across all 10 brands, one principle holds. Price has very little to do with quality. It has everything to do with where the money goes. The brands that overcharge share the same construction reality. Fused interiors, synthetic linings, mass production targets disguised as heritage marketing. The brands that earn their price share the opposite trait. Rayon materials, restrained markups, and the quiet confidence of a label that has nothing to prove because the cloth is already proving it. Spend on the substance. Skip the logo. Buy what was built to outlast the season.